Much for joining us on 13 News at Noon. I'm Felicia Lawrence, and this afternoon we're hearing from the family of a teenager and talented football player killed in a crash over the weekend. 18-year-old Mason Alexander was a recent graduate of Hamilton Southeastern High School. He was set to play on the University of Pittsburgh football team this fall. Mason's family spoke with our Marina Silva about this devastating loss.
Teenagers gathered Sunday at the site of the crash on Florida Road to pay their respects to a friend and classmate. To many, Mason Alexander was a football star, wearing number 15 on the field.
Mason Alexander with the interception.
For his family, he was an 18-year-old with a big heart and his whole life ahead of him.
You know, Mason was really charged up to attend University of Pittsburgh. His coach, they just immediately gravitated to him.
His uncle, Ravi Murray, rushed to where the crash happened Saturday night.
I've seen a lot of accidents, but this was one of the worst that I've seen.
Mason's mom now dealing with a nightmare.
That his mother, Kelly Harris, just played an insurmountable role in the development and raising of Mason. She was the quintessential, just a beautiful mother.
There's still some debris from the car right here, but there's a small memorial growing here at the site of the crash. There's still some glass stuck in the tree, but the memorial has flowers and cards and teddy bears. We're also seeing footballs with the number 15 and messages. One of them saying, "Love you, brother, rest easy," as well as some football gloves, all to honor Mason Alexander.
If he were alive today, he would be so appreciative of just the outpouring of love. And to not let his passing be a stopping point to learn about his life, just to strive to do better, treat each other with the utmost respect as he did.
Murray says the last conversation he had with his nephew was about football, his passion.
I was just excited about me coming up to Pitt and watching him play. We were all looking forward to that, and he would tell me, "Uncle, I just can't wait for you guys to come down." And I was looking forward to a road trip. It was so exciting, and he was excited.
His family already had tickets to his games.
Those won't be used now, and you know, it hurts. It really does. You know, dreams that will never come to fruition.
But he's holding those memories close. So are the students and friends grieving this sudden loss. Reporting in Hamilton County, Marina Silva, 13 News.
Mason Alexander. We are certainly thinking about his family and his mom and all the plans that they had. Hamilton Southeastern High School says a crisis response team will be available throughout the week for any students who need that support. The school plans to have a balloon release on the HSC football field at 5:30 in his honor. And we have more news to get to. Today, Indiana State Police are remembering a trooper tragically killed in a crash 2 years ago. Master Trooper James R. Bailey was hit and killed trying to stop a chase on I-69 north of Fort Wayne. Bailey was tending to some weather-related traffic crashes when he learned of the pursuit. He tried to put out stop sticks when the fleeing driver struck him. Bailey worked for ISP for more than 15 years, and just last week we learned that the driver who hit Bailey will spend more than 4 decades in prison. And here's a live look outside. It's been a mostly cloudy afternoon, maybe some sun later. That's a huge maybe, because Sean says we have some heavy rain that's on the way.
Yeah.
How should we prepare?
Yeah, that rain's going to be for tomorrow. Clouds, we'll have some peaks. We'll have some peaks. Depending on location, later today, you might have more than a peak, and then depending on your location, it might still be gray come 5 o'clock. So hang tight, but yes, we do want you to be prepared for heavy rainfall that is inbound here in about 24 hours. So here you go, temperatures 35 to near 40 degrees. We've had a few breaks in this cloud deck. It's been hanging pretty tough here. I'll show you visible satellite. You can see what I'm talking about. But as you look over toward Terre Haute and you get into Illinois, it's pretty sunny over there. The clouds are definitely going to hold on the longest in Muncie, Richmond, Peru, Marion. A generally overcast day. You get a little part of the central section of the state, southern section of the state. Going to get into some breaks for some sunshine. Compared to 24 hours ago, remember this weekend was chilly. We're 10 degrees warmer, even with the cloud deck. And this thing's going to sit over us for a little bit. Real slim chance of a sprinkle falling. Generally, though, once we get a little closer to 3 or 4 o'clock, from Indy and points west, clouds should decrease a little bit, and we get close to about 50 degrees, if not above that, courtesy of the south wind at 10 miles per hour. There's a lot going on in the central part of the country. It's moving our way. Here's the breakdown for tomorrow. We'll get a little more detail on this, walk you through this Tuesday, and maybe some snowflakes before we get to the weekend as well in the 7-day.
All right, Sean, we'll turn back to you a little bit later. And now we have to talk about the violent few days that we've had across Indianapolis. Right now, Metro Police are investigating a fatal shooting at an apartment complex on the north side. Officers were called to the hub on Nora Apartments on Lake Nora Court North near 96th and College Avenue around 2 yesterday morning. That's where police found a man dead from a gunshot wound. Investigators believe this was an isolated incident between people who know each other. So far, they have not shared details about what led up to the gunfire. And then this afternoon, actually, a juvenile girl is recovering from a shooting on Indy's east side. It happened just before midnight Saturday on East 34th Place near 38th and Franklin. And that's where officers discovered the girl shot. She was taken to the hospital in stable condition. So far, no word on how old she is or if police have a suspect or a possible motive. We're reaching out to IMPD to get that information. And those two shootings happened alongside several other shootings Friday night. At least 3 people were killed just hours apart. We now know the names of those victims. So one of them started just before 9 Friday night at a Texas Roadhouse restaurant near Southport and Emerson. Metro Police tell us a fight inside the restaurant spilled out into the parking lot, and that's when a 34-year-old man shot and killed 32-year-old Robert Smith. An off-duty officer was eating inside and quickly arrested the suspect after following them outside. Then about 20 minutes later, officers were called to Brookside Park for a reported shooting. That's where they found 40-year-old Chaston Wheeler with gunshot wounds. IMPD says Wheeler was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Wheeler died of his injuries yesterday. And then minutes after that shooting, police were called to a crash near West 62nd Street in Georgetown. That's where they found 20-year-old Joshua Harris dead from apparent gunshot wounds. Investigators believe he was shot a mile down the road at a gas station. Authorities tell 13 News there have been nearly 30 homicides so far this year. And while that number is lower than it has been in recent years, community leaders say the city needs to find new ways to help stop this violence.
A lot of groups are doing a lot of good things out there. We got to keep doing that. And the courts and the prosecutor has to keep holding repeat violent offenders accountable. If we do, we're going to see a better year in 2025.
Anyone with information about any of these shootings is asked to call Crime Stoppers or IMPD. And a Perry Meridian High School student is facing felony charges after taking a semi-automatic rifle to school. According to a police report, officers arrested the 18-year-old Thursday afternoon. Perry Meridian's principal says administrators were investigating reports of vaping in the restroom, and they identified a possible student. He says when school police, IMPD, and a K-9 searched that student's car, they found a weapon, 6 rounds of ammo, and a significant amount of marijuana. The teen now faces preliminary charges of dealing marijuana, carrying a handgun on school property, and possession of a firearm on school property. Lawmakers are back at the Indiana State House today. Before their break, the House passed its version of a new 2-year state budget. The $46 billion budget would include a 5% spending cut for almost every state agency, and it would expand school vouchers to all Hoosiers. K-12 education would see a 2% yearly increase in funding. The income tax rate would drop over the next 2 years, and the income tax deduction would double for low-income seniors. Now, critics wanted to see bigger increases for public education, and they wanted to see something done about people on wait lists for Medicaid. The Senate will be working on the budget bill over the next few weeks.